What's up, beautiful people? Today we're going to be checking out some updates on the Donald Trump case. Now, a lot of people still believe Donald Trump did not do this and that the Department of Justice is being weaponized. I've gone through the documents to try to ascertain for myself if he might have done it. I'm not a judge, so I cannot say if he's guilty or not. But one thing I can say is if you're going to indict a former president, your case better hold some weight. And after going through that document, I don't think is enough smackdown. I don't think it's sufficient enough to pursue such a big agenda. Now, that is speculative, just my thoughts. But you feel free to let me know what you think. The video we're going to be checking out today is titled Fulton County DA Just Got Some Very Bad News. Well, I'm very curious to hear this one, so let's check it out.
This is an emergency right now. I'm calling for an emergency special session. I've had senators ask me, what do you do when you have an emergency special session? First step, Steve, defund Fani Willis. Now, these senators, they want to use semantics with their constituents, and they want to say, well, she receives local funding or she receives federal funding. Well, she also receives Georgia state tax dollars, Steve, and my constituents do not want their hard-earned tax dollars funding this type of rogue power. Okay. The second thing we have to do is we have to investigate Fani Willis. They say, well, what would you investigate? What about the fact that the indictment comes out the day before the jury even finishes and concludes, right? We need to investigate what coordination she's had with the U.S. Department of Justice. Right. There are so many things to investigate. What about the fact that half of her inmates at the Fulton County Jail have yet to be charged with a crime? I mean, when the citizens of Fulton County have to start paying for this and not my citizens in Northwest Georgia and across this state, they're going to think twice about what she's doing, because instead of their neighbor getting murdered and their other neighbor getting robbed, and all she's worried about is taking on political prisoners, you know, maybe she'll stop and think about that.
A growing groundswell of opposition is rising up against the corrupt Fulton County DA Fani Willis, and it's just getting started. That was Georgia State Senator Colton Moore, who's leading the effort to impeach Willis of the ridiculous weaponized legal witch hunt against President Trump, a witch hunt that's only in the end making Trump stronger than ever, especially among black men, which we'll be covering in a later video today. Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, make sure to share this video with friends and family. We are once again being throttled by big tech censorship, so I need your help to get the hopeful message of this channel out to as many people as possible. It's now being widely reported that House Republicans are indeed launching an official probe into the shenanigans of the Fulton County DA's office. The House Judiciary Committee is investigating whether federal law enforcement agencies or officials were involved in Fani Willis's investigation and indictment. Her office was notified of the investigation, what she's required to turn over. Quote, the committee is demanding the DA's office turn over all documentation of its use of federal funds, communications with the DOJ or its components, and any records of cooperation with officials of the executive branch. Here's House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan on what they're investigating.
3 questions, Sean. Did you coordinate with the Biden administration, the same administration who's indicted their general election opponent in D.C. and Miami already? Did you coordinate with them? Did you work with Jack Smith? Look at the same witnesses. Any coordination there? And did you use federal funds as part of this investigation? We asked these same questions of Alvin Bragg a few months ago, and he, in fact, did use American tax dollars to go after President Trump in Manhattan. And oh, by the way, Alvin Bragg sued us when we subpoenaed one of those prosecutors up there in Manhattan. He sued us. We went to court, and the court ruled for us. So we're going to be just as aggressive here. We're going to do it within the Constitution, but we are going to do our duty to get the answers the American people deserve for this ridiculous indictment that's taken place in Georgia.
Yes.
It would be just so demonic to think of the fact that the common man tax money would be used to weaponize the justice system. If that is the case here, there's a big problem, like a very big one. It's crazy to even think about it.
So thus far, Willis has refused to answer questions as to whether she had been in touch with Jack Smith, the special counsel that's brought 2 indictments against Trump. And former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, is saying that word on the street is that this Fulton County indictment was actually ordered by the deep state in D.C.
That I am told, this is hearsay, but I am told by a reliable source that Friday evening, somebody from Washington called the district attorney in Atlanta and said, you have to indict on Monday. We have to cover up all of the mistakes we just made with Weiss. And she said, apparently, my jurors aren't coming back till Tuesday. And they said, you didn't hear me. You have to indict on Monday. And she said, well, they're not going to get here before noon. They said, it doesn't matter. She said, this means it's going to be 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock at night. They said, it doesn't matter. We need the news media shifting.
Who made that phone call?
We don't know. And I'm telling you up front, this is hearsay, but it's from a person who has remarkably good sources.
I totally believe it, though, because that would explain why they leaked and they messed up on the clerk document, why she was exhausted, and why they had the 11 p.m. press conference, Mr. Speaker.
Gang, we are literally at the beginning of something utterly epic. And no, I'm not talking about the return to Trump. Last week, dozens of nations met in Johannesburg to discuss a new trade currency backed by gold. And you don't want to miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get in on the action. We got amazing friends to this channel who can help you do just that. Coordination between the deep state in D.C. and the Fulton County DA to deliberately cover up the corruption behind the David Weiss fiasco. Remember, Merrick Garland, who is objectively speaking an abject disaster of an attorney general. He appointed David Weiss as a special counsel to investigate Hunter Biden, even though Weiss is the very one who gave Hunter that sweetheart special plea deal designed specifically to cover up Joe Biden's criminality. So as you would expect, the appointment was a public relations disaster. Recent ABC poll found that only 30% of voters expressed any semblance of trust in the integrity and independence of the investigation. The vast majority are just laughing at it. So blatant. So it was a disaster. And according to Gingrich, they needed a diversion to take attention away from the corruption that's infested itself in the highest levels.
Why does it feel like there's so much politicking in the Department of Justice? As a matter of fact, looking from the outside in, it feels like it's not even a thing of justice anymore. It feels like there's a war between Democrats and Republicans. That's how it feels. I'm just saying the truth, how I see it from the outside looking in. I'm not in America, that's why I can say that. But you let me know what you think.
Of our federal government. So now we got this probe into the Fulton County DA's office being launched by a Congressional Oversight Committee, and we got Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs introducing a bill to defund Fani Willis. It's a bill that's actually called the Willis Act. Have you heard about this? It stands for Withholding Investments from Lawless Litigators in States Act. It's absolutely brilliant. At the same time, as we saw earlier, we got Georgia State Senator Colton Moore calling for a special legislative session to investigate whether this political indictment was politically motivated.
Hello, everyone. It's Senator Colton Moore coming to...
Did he use political indictment was politically motivated?
It was politically motivated.
Hello, everyone. It's Senator Colton Moore coming to you from the Fulton County Jail. Today, Donald Trump, who have been taken political prisoner, are going to be booked in this jail. The 200,000 people that I represent who sweat hard every day for their tax dollars, they don't want their tax dollars funding this corrupt district attorney, Fani Willis. We as a legislature, me as a senator, we have a job to do. We have a constitutional duty to provide oversight against executive and judicial officers. And that's why I'm demanding that we call a special session today. Defund Fani Willis of any Georgia tax money and start the investigation into her. Contact your state representative, contact your state senator, demand a special session. We've got work to do. We've got a country to save.
Now, obviously, Colton Moore is not alone in this call. Republican congressional candidate Anthony Sabatini originally tweeted out, the Georgia legislature must call a special session tomorrow and immediately subpoena Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis tomorrow. In the meantime, freeze all funds to her office. Any Republican, especially in Georgia, not calling for this must be eliminated from office. The problem here, of course, as he's alluding to, is that Georgia's Republican-dominated legislature is also governed at the top by the feckless establishment rhino Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, who's refusing to call a special session. And you also have Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr, again a Republican, who's refusing to step in and get involved in the motion that was filed to remove the case from state court to federal court, even though Georgia state law requires the attorney general to be involved in any state criminal case that could be removed to federal court. So we talked about this on Friday's live stream. A Republican attorney general in Georgia could shut this circus down this very second, but he refuses to do so. And it's all because these feckless rhino establishment hacks are all in on it. They want Trump indicted. They want Trump taken out. So this is going to require the people rising up against their feckless rhino establishment and holding their feet to the fire. And that's what we all have to do. We all have to stand up and make sure those who claim to represent us shut this circus down for good and hold these reckless lawfare practitioners accountable.
Hey, but why is Trump such a threat, though? I mean, politically, I'm very sure America has a lot more people that can stand against Trump if, let's say, he was too scary to be a contender in the presidential election. They could definitely raise somebody else to compete against him rather than sending him to jail and trying to cause this humiliation. Because trying to do so, he's amassed even more crowd, especially from the black people. There was literally a black guy that said he likes the fact that Trump is going to jail, so he understands the system he's going to fight against when he gets into power. There was a video that surfaced on TikTok. Lots of black people were standing on the road yelling, "Free Trump." In context, in 2015, I believe you couldn't even say, "I'm voting for Trump." A few days ago, black people were saying, "Free Trump." They were advocating for Trump to be released. So this thing is not diminishing his ability to contest. As a matter of fact, I think he's increasing it. Like, it's an advantage to him. And he's really taking advantage of that. You know, Trump is a good orator. He's going to turn that and make it an opportunity for himself. So yeah, this is not helping them. I strongly believe if this is in fact weaponization of justice, this is not helping.
Gang, I know what it's like to feel alone out there in these turbulent times, but I broke free. If you too have been looking for a community with like-minded patriots who are serious about resisting globalism, building a parallel economy, and having intelligent and deep fellowship on a regular basis, then you've come to the right place. In my Courageous Patriot Insiders community, we're building a close-knit movement of, by, and for patriots who are breaking free from the outrage and despair cycles of the main.
Okay, yeah, I'll put the link to the channel in the description in case you want to go check out some more. I think for that, would end the video right there. He gave us some very interesting insights. Well, you feel free to share your own. I still think this, maybe, let's say we assume Trump did this. I think it was very rushed because even the documents presented, it wasn't sufficient, honestly. I feel like it wasn't sufficient. Now, I'm not a judge, I'm not a lawyer. I wouldn't know for sure, but just looking at it, it feels like there's something missing. There's something not like concrete enough to actually send Trump to jail. If he in fact goes to jail and he comes out, one thing is for sure, Trump is not Nelson Mandela. People are going to be held accountable. Yeah, people are going to be held accountable. So they should be very careful. Looking at the polls now, it seems Trump might win by a landslide. I'm just saying speculatively from what I've seen on the internet. And if he in fact win, again, people are going to be held accountable. Well, let me know what you think about that video. Feel free to share your thoughts on that one. That was by Dr. Tully, Steve Tully. I'll put the link to the channel in the description in case you want to go check him out or join any of his groups. That being said, is the end of this video. Smash the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a wonderful day. Peace.
I made this bet on my own,